Andy, lovely to see you again. It's only
Good to
been
see
a
you
couple
too.
of weeks. But before we get into things, introduce yourself and tell us about the wonderful your background and also what you're doing now.
Thanks. Yeah. So I'm Andy Miko. I'm the founder and CEO of Recast. Um, my background, well, I used to pick a ball round and almost went professional. And when that dream ended with an injury, I went into the world of entrepreneurship. And yeah, and then I still with sport being close to my heart, I previously before Recast my current business, I founded a company called Sport Lobster, a sports social media platform where fans could get personalized access to stats, news, scores, make predictions in private leagues, chat with others around their interest in sport. And it was throughout that journey that I started to recognize the challenges that particularly the sports industry would have with evolving consumption and payment patterns, which led me into then founding Recast.
So, media, sport, and tech. What made you suddenly realise that there's a model out there that's broken and I'm going to build something else?
Yeah, I think it was kind of a combination of recognizing both a problem and an opportunity. So when I was growing Sport Lobster, this was 2013, the way that I took that to market was through what's known these days as an influencer strategy. So I brought on board a couple of athletes, Michael Owen and Mark Webber, and I was like, right, start using the platform and then promote it, and put a tweet out about it and put a link and drive people in. And seeing the conversion and the success of that, I thought, okay, well, why don't we go after some of the more followed athletes on the planet? So we were still in beta, and within a few months, I brought on board Cristiano Ronaldo to be our ambassador going into 2014, and then thereafter formed partnerships with the NBA, the NFL, launched a co-branded product with Emirates Airlines called Emirates Sport Lobster, and we worked with hundreds of rights holders and athletes, etc. But it was then that I had shifted from looking at the industry through the lens of being a fan, and of course before I was participating, but then in the industry, and I thought, wow, there's obviously a rapid thing. There's a shift that's taking place in terms of consumption and payment patterns, and the traditional model is breaking. People are unsubscribing. There's far too much fragmentation, but as those rights owners who perhaps used to get checks from different broadcasters are receiving them less, particularly in international markets, they're going to have to go direct to consumer. And that's going to be expensive to build an OTT platform. And particularly the challenge will be if they throw up a subscription paywall, then we're actually compounding the problem, particularly as we see the rise of the creator economy. Well, Recast Pay is a universal micropayment wallet that enables consumers to seamlessly one-click purchase media that's being sold by a media owner on a pay-per-view basis or a paper access basis. And so in turn, what that means is that media owners, whether it's someone with a podcast or whether it's an article, whether it's a video, whether it's a live sports stream, are able to sell that directly to consumers at any price that they wish, from as little as 1 penny. And our wallets and our platform, the Ledger, facilitates that instant exchange of value, but also distributes the revenue in real time between any associated parties.
Can you, for the people like me that don't get it?
No, yeah, it works for everybody. I think the point you made is such a strong one because if we look around the world that we live in, there are products everywhere that we purchase, and yet as a result of the way in which social media has grown and how we've adopted both as consumers and creators, that there's a real blur between what content should serve as an engaging marketing piece of content and what is actually a product itself. But the reality is that there's a massive channel in the middle here, which is for transactions, microtransactions, for someone to access content. And whether you're a content creator with 100,000 followers on YouTube, or whether you are a major sports rights owner with millions of fans around the world, the reality is all relative. And setting the price point on your piece of content and determining what's the optimum price point for a core set of your fans to be able to want to access that. And that doesn't mean that you're going to get all 100,000 people turning into paying customers. But like any other product, you need to market to them, and then you pull them down into monetizing them and developing more of a relationship and engaging relationship with that consumer. So for any content creator, whether it's an individual or a big organization, our tool, which is just an enabler, it allows them to unlock revenue from that. So I founded the business in 2018. We went live in 2020 with the first version of our platform. Once again, this was Recast TV. It was a destination, and employed a similar strategy that I did with Sport Lobster. Went to a few initial partners, get them on board, and then start sharing the success stories of that to onboard others. I raised over 20 million into the business over the course of what was it, about 3 or 4 years. The majority from one group in particular, who unfortunately at the tail end of 2023, having signed for another 5 million investment, didn't deliver the money. So at very short notice, September 2023, with 45 staff and over 500 rights owners and individuals using Recast TV, and of course hundreds of thousands of users as well at that point, I had to turn the platform off and put the business into administration and let go of 45 staff. And so, yeah, it was horrific. It was horrific. Yeah. We'd gone from $100 million business at the beginning of the year valuation down to zero in a matter of weeks from just, and the cap table's busy. Good luck trying to find investors come in and salvage things. And those investors had their own challenges, but weren't transparent about it. And so actually 14 businesses in their portfolio all went insolvent, all went bust. Within a week, I had raised over $1 million from individuals, high net worths, like Ed Woodward, who used to run Manchester United, and others in the sport and media and tech space. And I actually acquired the IP from the administrators into this new vehicle. And it was at that point that I determined, actually, there's an opportunity here. Rather than just turning Recast TV back on, considering how strong and sophisticated our payment technology in the wallet is, why don't we build this out to be a plug and play solution that goes everywhere else across the internet? Anybody can integrate it into their own website, into their own platform. We've got success stories along the way for sure. The one that I often like to refer to is World Curling Federation, a sport that maybe isn't the most popular around the world. They've got 50,000 followers on Instagram. Going back to the point about your friend with 100,000 followers on YouTube, but they've got 50,000 followers on Instagram. And just from a few events over the course of a year, because they actually don't have that many events themselves and rights to monetize, they made over $300,000 at an average of 80 cents a transaction from 44,000 people. And so, considering a following of 50,000 fans, they managed to convert 44,000 into transacting fans, who, just with a limited number of pieces of content throughout the year, they unlocked an average of 80 cents on each transaction and made over $300,000. It just goes to show what's possible. And that's just based on their average price point, by the way. What's very unique about our wallet is not only do we deduct value from someone's wallet when they choose that they want to spend to access something, and we grant them access when the value leaves their wallet, but also you can put value into the wallet. So it starts bringing brands into an interesting sort of area to play with, because let's say I were to go to World Aquatics website and I wanted to watch a swimming race that was starting later on. And I'll take you through the journey, in fact, and how our solution works. So a swimmer I follow on social media puts a link up, I click it, I land. Great, I want to watch this. If I've already got the wallet, my wallet's already signed in, I can click and purchase. And if I haven't, then I would register for the wallet in that moment, and it's within that environment. And once I've got it, anywhere I go, I can see that I can use my Recast Pay wallet to purchase some media. Now, if I'm short by, because the transactions are facilitated using credits. So think of it like flying with an airline. You can earn miles, you can buy miles, and then you spend miles to get a benefit. And through Recast, you can buy credits, you can earn credits, and then you spend them. It's one credit's locked to the value of 1 penny. It's no different than an air mile and a multi-use voucher. It's not crypto or anything. But what is fascinating and unlocks that friction is I have the choice to spend 50 pence on watching that piece of content, or Speedo may fund my wallet in this moment. They might give me 50 pence worth of credits if I opt into marketing or if I answer a survey for them. So it allows the brand, rather than going, yeah, sure, how much are we going to place on an impression that's going to be served here? What's the value of that? That actually I want a deeper, more meaningful connection. In fact, the brands can form a direct consumer relationship via a third party or a media owner. And therefore, the value of the entire ecosystem rises, because that exchange is worth more to the brand than just an impression served. I think what the future holds is a real shift in the way in which media owners are forming direct consumer relationships. So not only can one put a link out and drive an audience into a piece of content and get a share of the transaction, but that affiliate fee also applies to syndicating content out. So if we were to take NASCAR as an example, if they don't have influencers or followings in India, but they really want to reach an Indian audience, they can approach all the most popular motorsport or just generally sports websites in India and say, would you like to sell our product on our behalf? Yes, we do want to. And just with a simple code snippet, that's just embedded. And when someone goes to that website like they do on a daily basis and they say, oh, they're interested in motorsport and they want to watch the race, they click and buy it, the revenue instantly splits between NASCAR according to the price of that item and the affiliate fee they set, and of course the media owner, the publisher who served up the audience. So when everybody's talking about going direct to consumer, in fact, our tool enables them to truly go directly to where the consumers are. In fact, put the content out as far and wide as possible. It can be everywhere. You know, this world that we've been living in for years has been all about walled gardens, and that's clearly there's too many walled gardens, and they're not holding on to people. They're churning. And so our model, our solution flips that upside down and actually encourages everybody to put everything everywhere. I think that the major platforms, particularly the streaming platforms and the broadcasters, will continue to invest in producing their own content and licensing rights, etc., but more to serve as an anchor for the audiences that they pull in, and that using a tool like ours, they can become a D2C enabler, and that means that whether it's sports, whether it's podcasts, etc., they truly can just start pushing out to the most relevant platforms, and those platforms can start ingesting the most relevant content to serve their audience at zero cost. In fact, they're generating revenue for it. So I think the whole D2C landscape is going to evolve, and that everything ultimately will be available. That currently sits behind a subscription paywall will be available on a microtransactional basis as well.
This is incredible. So what does the future hold? I know none of us have got a crystal ball, but what's the next shift in how people pay for access to content? What are you thinking about? What are you feeling?
I think we're what the future holds is a real shift in the way in which media owners are forming direct consumer relationships.
Andy, it's been a privilege. Thank you so much.